Welcome, everybody, to the Outdoor Chat. We come to you every weekday on outdoorchat.us, and simulcast over on YouTube. We go over everything to be encountered in the great outdoors, including our outdoor adventures, critters, vehicles, and much, much more. We have hosts. We have Bob coming in from Canada.
Hey, glad to be here.
And we have Pete coming in from Tucson.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody.
And me, again, over here in Apache Junction or the Phoenix Valley. Don't matter. I don't care. Today...
Jimmy, right? Yeah. You're Jimmy, right?
Yes, Jim E.
Jim E.
I was going to say, before we start out the show today, let's remind everybody that we have our quiz throughout the week. And our quiz question from Monday was, what was our bird that we featured on the first Monday, our first show? And you want to answer that, you can email us, gearwebsites@gmail.com before this Friday, and we'll get you in the running, and we'll announce the winner on Monday, the 15th. So you want to have your answers in by Friday the 12th.
There you have it. If you want to win something, that is. So today is Wednesday. We will be talking about our fishing or boat adventures. I believe it's bass fishing. Then we have our outdoor topic. We will be talking about a lake. We talk about our critter and places to visit, and among other things. So let's just jump right into it and get to bass fishing. Now, fishing out here for me has been quite uneventful so far. So I don't know if you guys have any experience with the old bass fishing.
Really? How much fishing have you been doing out here, though?
Not
been out for a dozen years.
I've been out here for 7 now, but yeah, not much. We go over to Saguaro Lake over here and just pretty much grab little catch and release fish. I mean, nothing spectacular.
I like bass fishing as opposed to some of the other sports fish. So there's bass fish, basically you got your walleye, I guess a little bit, and then you got your I guess more like your perch or whatever you'd call the striped bass up in the big lakes, and then trouts and little river fish. So as far as the fish that we have to fish from, which is not a lot down here in Arizona, I like the bass. For the most part, they're catch and release. A lot of the tournaments and stuff will catch them a lot. So they're used to being caught, and they fight. They don't like it, and they get pretty big. So bass are predators. They're going to be big fat fish that like to sit, at least in Arizona, they like to sit in the weeds. They like to catch the little fish that swim by and then go back and hide again. So the way that I've caught them most successfully out here is with real heavy line and some kind of a lure that mimics a prey, the fish that they're eating. Once you get one to bite on your lure, it's a matter of fighting them out of whatever it is, little nests they've got. Most of the time they're going to retreat back to some little nest. Sometimes you catch them out in the water, but either way, depending on the size of bass, they're a pretty good fighter. Like any fish, they can only fight for a bit, but they'll jump. So that's kind of fun. Sometimes you get the right kind of lake and the right time of year. You throw a popper up there, a little lure that floats, makes some noise. They'll come up and grab it out of the water, makes a splash. And then sometimes when they're up on the surface like that, they'll jump a bit when they're coming in. That's super fun. And then they're, as opposed to like a pike or something, they have teeth. Their teeth is a lot like sandpaper. Bass don't have a lot of sharp fangs, I guess is the way to say it, right? So it's real easy. Typically, it's real easy to get the lure out of there and get them back in the water without hurting the fish too bad at all, except pissing them off and wearing them out.
Yeah, I've actually never had an opportunity to fish there yet. I'm really looking forward to it. I do like fishing up here. I do it quite a bit. Now, your walleye, I really want to try walleye because, I mean, that's something we catch up here a lot. We call them pickles.
I shouldn't have said that. There's very few walleye in Arizona, as far as I know. They were introduced in 1957. It's not really our fish today, but just a few lakes have them as stocked. back in the day, and I don't know of anybody that continues to stock them. So because they're a predator, they've existed, but they're not like there's anywhere near as plentiful as they up where they live.
But I mean, bass is something I've never actually fished for, so I would find that quite interesting.
Oh yeah, I love fishing for bass, and that's frustrating to hear Jimmy having no fun with it. So I caught the huge bass, a 10-something pound bass in Canyon Lake, which is the one up from Saguaro. So it goes Roosevelt Lake, then Apache, then Canyon, and then Saguaro, I think. So I was one lake up the chain from you, and oh, that was super fun. It took us like half an hour to get that lady in there, and we've had good fun at Apache as well, because Apache, the way it's, again, it's kind of, it's down the Salt River. So you got Roosevelt, which is real easy to get to. It's a huge lake, lots of people, lots of boat docks, real easy to get to, lots of opportunities to fish. Then you got the dam, the big dam that makes Roosevelt Lake, and you've got Apache Lake south of the dam, and it's difficult to get to, period. Then you've got Canyon, which is accessible. So that Apache Lake is only the most dedicated of fishermen and the most hardy of outdoor people are even going to go there. So I've heard that's got some pretty decent bass fishing as well. But yeah, that's something we can definitely, I think renting a boat on those big lakes is worth it. So you got a motor, you don't have to spend all day getting to where you're going, or you can change your mind and go someplace else. But I'm looking forward to going fishing with y'all then.
No, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That'd be a fun trip.
Over on the Instagram, we're running live on Instagram right now. Clay is asking, what about crayfish in Arizona? It's a non-native species, and they've definitely impacted Arizona dramatically. They'll come in and eat everything, so that the environments get screwed up. We've got very delicate water systems here, as you can imagine, in a desert. So the rivers and stuff that do exist naturally are susceptible to an outside influence like that. So for the most part, there's a complete bounty on them. You're encouraged to grab as many as you can. There's quite a few efforts run by the Game and Fish that'll send people out strategically and to eliminate the population as much as possible. But they'll go in there and eat so many of the small critters that the lakes just look empty. They look clear and there's no algae. The ecosystems get messed up and you've got basically empty water, which is difficult to recover. Well, it takes time to recover from with that influence. So I think they probably came from dummies throwing them in the lake, not realizing the potential consequences when you got a closed ecosystem like this. And then inadvertently from people with big boats that don't know that they're in the trailer or in the boat somehow, and get re-released that way into different lakes.
Yeah, we've had problems with invasive species up here too, and it's people not washing their boats, not draining their boats. There's always going to be some water in your bilge, no matter how good your boat is, and it can be just it's completely preventable, which is the annoying part, right? So, something like that, crayfish and that. I don't know, what have you guys had any problems with the eels?
No, not that I'm aware of. But let's get back to bass. So they're non-native to Arizona. They were introduced by fishermen in 1897 intentionally to have a sport fish out here. And they're called largemouth because they do have a big mouth with, I don't know why it says with an upper jaw. That must be a typo. But again, with very few fang-type teeth. So, and they're good eating. I don't know anybody who doesn't like eating a bass. They're just more fun to catch. So most people throw them back because they want to be able to catch them again.
No, for sure. Yeah. Keeping one for dinner, maybe, if it wasn't too big a one, or just a nice size one.
So I got pictures of our bass, big fat bass we got, and a lot of the tournaments out here, or the clubs out here, will do tournaments for bass fishing. So there's lots of opportunities for it, and head over to outdoorchat.us, and we'll have links to our websites and pictures and stuff and resources out there if you're more interested in that. But it's also, I should say, it's one of the fish that you can catch pretty much all over the whole state because it's a popular sport fish. They get introduced all over the place. Some of the other fish, like I like to catch, like northern, very few lakes have them. Like we were saying, walleye, very few lakes. And then some of the lakes just can't support the big striped bass or something like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, most places stay pretty well stocked that I'm aware of anyway.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. That'll be something for the show in the future.
There's our secrets. Okay, so
So I guess that'll take us to outdoors. But before that, oh, go ahead.
I'm interrupting you. I should have stayed there. I said so. We want to ask you to support the show. So one of the ways that you can do that is at our store, gearwebsites.com. And if you click on the Arizona section of the store, of course, you're welcome to browse the whole store if you'd like. But on our Arizona section, we have the Arizona state shape, we call it. It's the shape of Arizona with the Arizona flag on it, and it's in the PVC. So it's like the rubber style patch with a Velcro back. Again, these are the style that get them wet or dirty or something. They're fairly easy to clean. Also with the PVC rubber, it's very sharp. You know, the design is nice and sharp and it won't fade or anything. So they're patches with a Velcro back. Like Bob says, he likes to put them on hats. I got backpacks a lot of times. Sometimes the arms of your jackets or something will have places for Velcro. I like to put them, though, in the headliner of my car and be able to look at them as I'm driving or whatever. And if you're somebody who's outside the state and listening to the podcast, we'd appreciate you grabbing one. And you can show your support for Arizona. Or if you live here, it's a nice way to say, you know, Arizona. We have an awesome looking flag and we have a neat shape of a state that lets you know right away, you know, we're unique. We're not like one of them squares or one of them really weird designs that doesn't lend itself to patches. So it's one of the ways you can support the show. Thank everybody who does that.
Absolutely.
You bet. I've got one of those patches. They're actually really nice.
All right, so that will take us on to outdoors. Today is Wednesday, so we will be focusing on a lake. And today is Rose Canyon Lake. Zero experience, yeah.
I'm guessing you guys haven't been here. So Rose Canyon Lake is a little one. It's up on top of Mount Lemmon. So here in the Coronado National Forest, the forest, which is basically a bunch of mountaintops. They call them the Sky Islands around southern Arizona. Most of the state is, or most of the southern part of Arizona is grass and desert, sandy rocks and whatnot, saguaro cactuses to some extent in the lowlands, which is for us 2,400 feet above sea level. And then our mountains get up to 7,000 to 9,000 feet. So we've got some pretty decent elevation changes. Anyway, the forest is at the, you know, when you start seeing trees going up, that'll be the forest for the most part down here. And Rose Canyon is a lake that's on top of the mountains here around Tucson. So it's a 7-acre lake, and it's real easy to get to as far as accessibility. For the most part, you can drive right up there from Tucson. Might take you, I don't know, half an hour, something like that, to drive up. Maybe if there's traffic, a little bit more. There's a couple of parking lots there, and then you have to walk a ways. So as far as accessibility, I should say it's easy to get to the lake, but then when you're actually at the lake and getting down to the water, you might want to double check some of the current pictures to see as far as handicap accessibility or just old people or youngins. But for the most part, it is fairly accessible. It does have a day use, $10 a day to park there. And that's, of course, for updates or upkeep of the place. Because it's up on top of the mountain and it's up at pretty high elevation, it's only open April through October. So closes down in the winter. You can fish up there. They do stock it. You need a game and fish permit to fish there, not a urban permit. And I don't know. I know people that go up there. I think they just stock it with trout, and I've never seen a big fish come out of there. At least in a long time. I don't remember seeing any big fish.
They stock with rainbow trout that you know, are big enough to take home or eat. So that's, you know, rainbow trout's good eating. Don't get me wrong. I
mean, they're farm fish, so I mean, yeah, I mean they're going to be okay to eat. They're fed with corn or whatever. They're not necessarily huge just because they get ate every year, but they're certainly fun for a little kid to catch or just to have something to do up there. You know, give you something to do. I don't know. I haven't seen too many people catch like a string of them and have, you know, bountiful dinner for the evening or anything.
Right.
It does give you something to do up there.
Yeah,
there's 43 sites at the campground. I was just say there's 43 sites at the campground up there. 30 of them are tent and RV, and $22 to camp. And it is a decent place to get away from the summer heat if you're down here in Tucson. We don't have a lot of opportunities. It can get crowded. Obviously, it's the only one around close, But yeah, it's a neat place.
Yeah, it does sound really nice. I imagine if you went up in spring or fall at the start of the camping season, it wouldn't be as busy.
No, exactly. It's not like it's constantly crowded or anything, and not that many people love it. You can drive up to the campground and that might be crowded, but the lake itself, like say, I could walk like a mile or something to get back to it. So, and because it's not just there's no waterfalls or boats or anything up there, it's basically your hardcore people wanting to just get away from the heat and throw a line in the water.
Mm-hmm. Sounds fun though.
No 4x4s or none of that business, so you can enjoy some peace and quiet up there too.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's good to get away sometimes from that stuff.
And you got just about enough time. If you turned on the podcast, we'd be ending just as you got to the top of the mountain. And then same thing on the way back. You can listen to the next day's podcast on the way back.
That's kind of cool.
All right. That'll bring us into the book of the day. Today, let me get my screen share going over here. So today's book of the day, Arizona's official fishing guide, 181 top fishing spots, directions, and tips. This was January 2012, so there may be some revised versions. I'm sure there is, but I don't want to throw any promises out there, you guys. But this is kind of neat. I figured we were talking about fishing and stuff today, so this is definitely something that will at least 181. I'm sure there's more than 181. I know it sounds like a lot, but I'm sure there's more than 181 spots. But I'm sure this is a very detailed book and all that, so definitely something interesting.
Arizona Highway is a publication that's been around for a long time. It's like a coffee table type doctor's office photography type landscapes and natural type of photography magazine. Maybe some articles about where to go and entertainment, but mostly it's for the photography. So I'm guessing they've got quite a few cool pictures of the lakes and whatnot. I'm not sure as far as like a field guide or whatever. It's going to be more of a tourism type of informational thing, I'm guessing, but like a structure in order to put their cool pictures. But I would say, like you said, as far as updates, the Arizona lakes are all reservoirs. So they're all, they all exist due to, effort. So a lot of times, either the use of the reservoir, a lot of times they were built for irrigation. So like thinking of, what is it? I can't think of the name, so I'm trying to think of it. But the lake up there between Phoenix and Arizona near Globe, that one, a lot of times will go low when they're using it for irrigating crops. And some of the lakes in southern Arizona I've seen close because we had years with so much rain that it washed so much of the contamination from the mines in the area into the water system, and it all collected in the lake, that they needed to drain the lake, let the lake empty, because they will all empty without effort. Let the lake empty, and then go in there and scrape all the mud and gook out of the bottom to basically remove all the heavy metals, and then refill the lake. And not only is that important because you go out there and it's just nothing but a construction site, but also you go out there 2 weeks after they refill it, or after a few months of it filling up with water or something, there's not going to be any fish in that lake. So you might be wasting a lot of time going out fishing at a lake that just had, something like that happen. So it is definitely worth taking a look at some of these books, because some of those major, major issues at the lakes, you read a book from 2 years before the event, they didn't know it was coming, and they're sending you out to a lake that's either barren or a construction site.
Yeah. So I'm the Arizona Fish and Game official website will have information on that, though, will it not?
Yeah, perfect. Exactly. You always use the internet. It's better than books for the most, for current information, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's for current information. I mean, the books are good to have on hand for if you're planning things, but then always make sure you're going to check to get the most up-to-date information.
And the books are nice too, because they go out of date and they're cheap. Like last time I bought a book about Arizona hiking or something, it was like $3 at Bookman's, a used bookstore.
Oh yeah.
Because it was old, and it's still useful. I mean, if you're sitting there, in a campground or something, and you're kind of daydreaming, you're on a couple of days of vacation, you're looking for something to do, having a book to thumb through at the campfire. You can't just thumb through the internet at a campfire so easily, or who would want to, right?
Exactly. I mean, one of the things I've always thought was important about getting out into the woods and into the wilderness was getting away from the technology. I mean, it's getting really hard because it's become so all inclusive, our technology. But I think it's really important for human beings to get away from that once in a while.
I feel sometimes when we do these podcasts, we're doing a disservice because our podcasts are so good that people don't want to go offline.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any real danger of that. If it does get that we're getting too good and keeping people from going out and enjoying the wilderness, I say we should just shut it down.
I think that's a good goal or a good waypoint. If we figure that there's too many people watching our adventures, well,
yeah, instead of getting out and having their own.
That'll just be it. Yeah.
All right, so we'll have a link to that book. If you buy the book on Amazon, we appreciate it. We won't get a huge cut, but we will get a little bit of something, and we appreciate that. That helps us keep doing the show, and it's we want to say thanks for that.
Oh, for sure.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah, what are we going to talk about next? What was? I don't get this. I thought we were talking about fish. And
Yeah.
It's about kind of buffalo that's got
Bigmouth Buffalo. What is that?
I know. I'm thinking like, I didn't even know you guys had buffalo.
We have buffalo, but I don't know what a bigmouth buffalo is.
Well, I was looking through the internet one day. I don't want to talk about it, and found this, and this is what it is: the bigmouth buffalo, Ictiobus cyprinellus, also known as the gourdhead, redmouth buffalo, buffalo fish, Bernard buffalo, roundhead or brown buffalo, large species of Catasomidae or sucker family. The bigmouth buffalo is dull brownish olive color, blah, blah, blah. Here's what it looks like.
That's a big fish, but it's a sucker.
We don't even have these fish here.
It says fish of Arizona.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So it must be in the big lakes, probably, or maybe the river.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, I was thinking. When I first saw it, I was thinking maybe up north, but I don't know.
I'm thinking river fish. There's a lot of those.
You think this is a sucker, so it's just a scavenger type of fish?
Yeah, it's like a catfish, but different. They are big, though. It looks like it would be kind of interesting to catch. But
I haven't caught suckers in forever, but I remember the big sucker fish back in the Minnesota lakes there, the boundary waters. It was tough to get one on your line, but they fought, if I remember right. I remember after I caught one, I thought it was awesome, and everybody discouraged me from fishing for them anymore because nobody wanted them. But do suckerfish fight a lot? Or am I crazy?
They said that this one was, when I was reading up on this one, it's a fighter. Yeah,
some of them will. I mean, I've caught some whitefish, and I don't think they're particularly known as a fighting fish, but it was a bear to pull up. I mean, it was no jumping and flashing, but it was like not coming in easy. So, yeah, but yeah, I'm not crazy about any kind of bottom feeder fish.
Yeah, well, I was just looking around for fish. I thought this was neat, and I didn't know if you guys ever even heard of it. So I thought it was kind of interesting.
Oh, we hadn't.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting that you can just found something online that, well, me, I've fished a lot, but I've never heard of a bigmouth buffalo. Like I say, I was thinking, got some kind of mutated buffalo up there that's got what, fangs? I don't know.
Like, what's those buffaloes doing to that fish?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would have just called it a sucker fish, I guess, or do they call them carp? I forget. But anything with a big scale like that, nobody wants to eat it, right? The big scale fish are always gross.
Yeah.
Nobody here, apparently, like in other countries, those kind of fish are quite popular for eating. But I've always heard the flesh is kind of mushy. Yeah, mushy. Yeah, soft. So I don't know. I know, like they are eaten up here in the north. People will eat them, like whitefish are popular.
But they also screw with them, right? They'll do something weird to them, so they're not like your typical, like, let's just make a fillet and fry it up or whatever.
Yeah, they do tend to turn them into a, I don't know what, goop. So yeah, it's a fish that's I guess around and we can catch, but.
So why don't we go somewhere?
Let's go somewhere, but I want to go somewhere that has accommodations. So today Since it is Wednesday, we will be talking about places to visit, and our place to visit today is an accommodation. And this accommodation is it's another KOA. Obviously, I mean KOA is a KOA is a KOA, I guess. Some of them better than others. This one I would say is better than others because it's by the Grand Canyon. And the reason I chose this one is because that's another thing that I've, been hanging around Arizona about 7 years now and still haven't seen.
Yeah, I think I drove past it once or twice, but I think it's because it's such a big tourist thing, and I've seen so many pictures of it. It's just like it's a big hole in the ground.
That's what I think too. Like, oh, it's just a hole. Who cares? But now it's kind of like it's growing out. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure if you actually went there and saw the immensity of it, you would be like, "Holy smokes!"
Well, that's what the experience is, right? But for me, I've lived here a lot longer than all of y'all, and I still haven't seen it either, at least specifically, except for, like you said, I mean, ever since the Brady Bunch, I've seen it, right? But as far as experiencing it, they charge money, and that bothers me. I think you should be able to go up and experience it for nothing as a citizen of this country. And if you want to stay there, okay. And I guess maybe if you want to walk out on some bridge or something that costs money to put there, but I think they should have the walkways and stuff. You can just walk up. I mean, it's not like it's not like walking into Vegas and, oh yeah, here's an extra shop for free. I mean, you have to put a considerable amount of effort to get out there.
Yeah. And it's not like they had to dig the hole, right? It's not like somebody had to dig the hole to have that tourist attraction. It was there, So, yeah. Guess maybe you just
let's not. We're not here to rag on the Grand Canyon. I don't think we're here to talk about
We're here to promote Arizona. But no, it is it is something I'm going to have to make myself go see because, like I say, I mean, pictures are one thing, but to physically be in the environment where that thing is, because it is, one of the wonders of the world, really. It's really something you should have marked off your bucket list, I guess. So I think I may have to just make myself go see it next year or this year. Yeah, it is this year now. It's 2018. Woo.
Every time we like to feature some place to go or some place to check out, a restaurant or a store like this, some place to stay. If you've got an idea for it, you can always email us, gearwebsites@gmail.com. We're always interested in checking out new places on our adventures or some place that you might have done a YouTube video or a blog post about. Let us know. Happy to share it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that will take us to the healthy tip of the day for today. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Today, load up on vitamin C. We need at least 90 milligrams of vitamin C per day, and the best way to get this is by eating at least 5 servings of fresh fruit and vegetables every day.
Now, so I find that amazing, like fresh fruit and vegetables. I guess, no, 5 servings wouldn't be that. No, I guess that's not that hard. I was thinking 5 servings, like what? Wow, you only eat 3 meals a day, but then you realize, yeah, you can have fruit and vegetables, in one meal.
Get used to drinking like a juice in the morning or in a, as something like between meals kind of thing. And then, yeah, that can be depending on the size of the drink, right? A serving right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So like, yeah, once I kind of, oh yeah.
This year when Bob comes down, we'll get him a bunch of like buckwheat grass and broccoli juices. Those at room temperature, those are great.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it's the one thing I really like about being down there is a lot of the RV parks I stay at. I mean, they have like oranges. You just, help yourself. There's big bowls of oranges and they just, take as many as you want. These big giant oranges look the size of grapefruits. And it's just,
the stuff grows like weeds down here. Once a citrus fruit tree starts growing, it's producing fruit. Like it'll take a couple of years to get itself going. Once it's going, though, it'll dump out. It's like apples back home. Yeah. People get having apples fall in the yard, so and everybody's got them. So like all of a sudden, there's just tons of it. Last year, what I did with the stuff from my parents' place is squeezed it all, put it into ice cube trays, froze it, put the frozen cubes into baggies, did that for a couple of days while we were doing the podcasts, and I've still actually got a couple of things, ice cube things of lemon juice. I use them for putting into food or whatever, drinks.
That's an excellent idea. You know, even if you're just having a glass of water, if you throw a couple of those lemon ice cubes in it, it gives a nice flavor, right?
Yeah, exactly. You put one into like a bottle and pour it out of there all day.
Mm. Yeah, interesting.
Healthy tip.
And a great way to store them.
Not only does this show entertain you, but it keeps you
Healthy.
Feeds you healthfully, yeah, exactly.
But we can't do it forever. So
Yep. All right, so well, let's just wrap it up then. Little factoid of the day, and it's kind of with the Grand Canyon. There aren't any dinosaur fossils at the Grand Canyon, and the reason is because the rocks are way older than the dinosaurs.
is that what the Canadians say? Because you Canadians stole them all?
No, ours are up. We just have most of the fossils. That's all. The only fossils you'll find are things like corals, sponges, and trilobites.
Trilobites.
Yeah, trilobites. I got that one right.
That's those shelf-shelled crab-looking things, right?
Yeah, they're like I don't know, they look like a cockroach.
Or like a horseshoe crab.
Yeah, kind of like a cockroach with a big shell. I don't know. They're funny looking things, but they're one of the oldest creatures that we generally find in fossils. So very interesting. I wouldn't have thought that. You would think, oh, that's where you're going to find fossils because it's such a large cut into the earth. But yeah, because those rocks are so old. So very interesting. Anyway, that's our factoid of the day. And I just want to thank everyone for listening and watching. And we'll see you all tomorrow, I guess.